Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Parallel. I'm so glad that you could join us today because I have a very, very special guest. We're going to be talking about YouTube secrets, how you can get your YouTube channel to actually function for you to actually help you grow your business. This is going to be awesome. And of course, in the room with us today, we have a few other business owners, and it's always a good idea to have some other business owners join us in on the conversation so that they can ask the real questions that you're thinking about over there when you're listening to the replay, if you're watching us on the podcast, or if you're joining us over in our Facebook group. So I'm going to go around the room and I'm just going to ask everybody to introduce themselves. Marianne, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Marianne Pack. I have mariannepack.com. I'm a spiritual guide, and I am starting to look at being a coaching concierge, and that will be hopefully on the platform of LPL. So to be able to highlight you beautiful coaches and help you get business and make an impact.
Yep, pretty much connecting you with your ideal client, and that's always going to be a good thing. I'm putting that butterfly stamp right on that. I love it. Rishma, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm a money wisdom coach and an author of the book Pandemic Budgeting and Finances: How to Use Piggy Banks and Stop Counting Sheep. And it's now available on Amazon, and a great gift to give everybody during the holidays. And as a money coach, I help women who need help with to put their getting out of jail fund in place so that they can uh, work on their divorce, or going from a job to a business, or if they're unemployed. So if they have their emergency money in place, then they can be stress free and they can focus on doing the transition and working on the creativity.
Interesting. I love that, Rishman. You know, something just popped into my mind. There's somebody that I want to connect you with that I think she works with women in divorce, and you're working with getting people set up to make sure they have their finances in place. I just feel like you guys would probably be a good match for each other. I want to say hi to Wendy, who's joining us over on Facebook. Hey, Wendy. And Robin, thanks for joining us today all the way from Texas. Can you tell us who on earth are you and what are you doing with yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm multitasking this morning. So my camera was off for a bit. I'm Robin Finney. I'm an Oracle intuitive and authenticity guide, and I support people in gaining clarity and receiving answers to questions that they have deep within their heart. And I'm excited to learn more about YouTube because I've started doing Wisdom Wednesdays live on Facebook, and I'm curious how I could maybe either transition that or include that on YouTube as well. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Okay, great. Rishma, why did this seem like a good conversation for you to join?
I've been working with Tonia, and I've been on several of her podcasts, and I love Tonia. She's the best. So I wanted to support her.
This is true. You're not telling any lies. Marianne, why was this interesting for you to join today?
Well, I've had a YouTube channel for several years, and I just kind of want to be a little bit more active in it. My Coffee and Combo lives are already posted, streamed on Facebook and YouTube live. So I just want to build my YouTube channel up.
Cool. Well, without further ado, I would love to introduce my very dear friend, Tonia. Tonia, will you tell the people who you are and what it is that you do?
Hello, thank you, Dr. Davia, for having me on here. I am a YouTube creative and an Anchor podcast host. So I use both platforms to get the message out for the people who share their message. And so I'm loving it. I research YouTube and Anchor like there's nobody's business. So thank you for Reshma for coming on, because we've had conversations so often. I'm like, girl, just do it. So I'm excited to be here. So that's what I do. I like to encourage people, help them get out of their comfort zone and do it and share their message.
That's awesome. So I tend to encourage everybody to get over yourself and your fear of cameras because guess what? I, if I could do it, anybody can do it. The fact of the matter is, we're a visual world now, and now that we're operating this in this global environment, and now that everybody's on Zoom and we're all in social distancing because of the pandemic, if you're not comfortable with the camera, it's going to be a problem. That's number one. Number two, guess, let me see some hands here. Guess what's the number two search engine in the world? Wonder what it could be. Anybody knows? It's YouTube. Guess what the number one search engine in the world? It's Google. And guess who owns YouTube? Google. So if you can get yourself out there on YouTube, you can really improve your rankings on Google by extension. But I'm not the expert on YouTube here. The expert is actually our friend Tonia. So Tonia, tell us, why do you think people should be thinking about being on YouTube, having a YouTube channel?
Well, I think it's a golden opportunity. For one, it's a free service to tell people about who you are. And like you said, it's the number two search engine. And the biggest thing is if you are solving somebody's issues, that's what you're there. That's what we create a business for. We're solving issues. Remember that when you're on YouTube, it's to solve a problem. It's the number two search engine. So they're there to look for a solution. So if your business is providing an answer or something that can help somebody, of course, if you can figure out how to give them that answer, you're already just showing them that you're an expert.
I'll give you an example. The other day, my husband, for some reason, the remote that opens your car doors, he keeps pressing it and nothing's happening. The car door will not open. It's not a battery problem. We already figured that out. First thing that he did, hopped onto YouTube. Turns out with that particular year of Mercedes, there is a problem with the remote, and it's a quick little fix, a little thing that you jiggle on the side and suddenly it works again. People search YouTube kind of first when they have a problem. So if what we're doing, like you said, is solving a problem, then being on YouTube is definitely something that you want to be doing. This is so exciting. But what are some of the pros and cons of being out there on YouTube? Because I know people are thinking, okay, I want to get out there, but what could kind of be holding people back? But what should they be thinking about as the pros?
The pros, there's a lot of, I guess you could say I weighed a lot of pros and cons. First of all, it's like, oh my God, the fear of not knowing how to edit a video or not knowing what to say. So what you have to do is you just learn to get past that fear and figure out, I think what helped me was my message to the world was greater than the fear. So it's like, yeah, I know I'm going to probably have a few people who are going to troll me. This doesn't go with this, baby. They're going to troll what I do. Baby, grandma will be right there. There are going to be people who are not going to like what I put out there. There are going to be people who are not going to like maybe the way I present it. But you know what? If you're putting a message out there, that's half the battle, because a lot of people will be critics and they'll tell you what they're not going to do. But you're the one as Brene Brown says, you're in the arena and you're putting it out there. So that's the part you have to get past. Of it's like you're never going to please everybody. You're never going to appease everybody. But if you know that what you are passionate about and what you're sharing about is important to somebody, even if it's just one person that comes across my video, I just helped one person get past whatever their struggle was. So put the fear of that being right or perfect when you come on, it's not going to happen. The journey is in the process. And so that's what I've learned getting on YouTube is, because if you look at my early videos, I don't have not a lick of editing in none of it. It's just slapped up there. So I learned the process as I went, and I learned that, enjoy the process. I guess that's been my biggest for the last month or so. Enjoy the ride, because you're learning skills as you go, the skills that people cannot take away. So if you learn SEOs, you're starting to get people to find your videos. that's going to be something that can benefit somebody else down the road when you want to teach them how to find SEOs or stuff like that. So I say we always rush to the destination, but it's the journey that's really going to help you along the way. I don't know if I answered that question right, but that's that's what I was going.
That was amazing. Robin says in the chat, my message is greater than the fear. That's beautiful. I agree. You know, and before, back in the day, before I ended up in this personal development space, I was a researcher, but I used to have on the sign off on my emails, my corporate emails, the sign off was life is a journey. Enjoy the journey. That was my sign off, because every single day we're going through all these things and we're so bent on the destination that we're not taking the time to appreciate all the little steps along the way. So learning about how to use it, and if you put up a video and it's not ideal, guess what? You know that you can always take it down.
No. Remember, I would say never take it down. Remember, there's thousands of other people who are probably having the same problem you're having. And the joy that you can do in this journey is collaborate with others, because if you circle with other YouTubers or other people who are having the same struggle that you are, you realize that I'm not alone. And you're a big proponent of collaboration. Collaborated with I met up yesterday was the first time I met 2 other YouTubers. I've never met them before. I've always seen them on the screens and stuff like that, but we met in person and we sat there and we talked about all our struggles about how we come up with our YouTube, how to find the algorithm. And we realized like we live in this bubble, but we're so united. And that I would say, don't take it down, or, you know, you can archive it or whatever, but you look back at it and say, where, if you ever need a reminder where you came from, that's the archive. And you see a lot of YouTubers are like, look back in the day where I wasn't perfect, and they'll show you their old videos, because a lot of people want to see where you came from to where you're going. And you pick up, this is what I said, you pick up your tribe along the way. You know, we want to get out there and I have to have this big tribe to get on YouTube. No, your YouTube will come along as you go along the journey. And that's the fun part of it. Because you're like, oh my God, oh, where did you come from? Oh, you too? So it's like, it's the journey, the excitement as it comes, you know, comes forward.
So for somebody who doesn't have a YouTube channel, or somebody who is thinking about getting one up, or somebody who maybe has one that doesn't have a huge humongous following, what would your do's be? What would you tell them to do?
Find something that you really would do no matter what. No matter what, you know, a lot of us come on there for the business, but what are some things you would do no matter what? You know, I love talking to people. I love hearing their messages. I'm a lifetime learner. So I do an interview show. Why? Because I love to learn what people are working on. I don't care if I get any views on it. I mean, I do to a certain extent, but I would do this whether I got 0 likes or I got 14 likes or 1,000 likes, because that's what I enjoy doing. Because they always tell you that YouTube is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Again, like I said, so many people are worried about, I got to get 100,000 subscribers. But what are you doing with the 10 that are watching you? If you're not appreciating the 10 that you're on, and those are the loyalties. Those are the ones that are going to grow with you. You don't need 1,000, 10,000 followers. You only need 1,000 true fans to grow you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I want people to realize that, yeah, it's fun to be on there, but it's the process. And I think we talked about it. It's the process of as you keep going. So when you feel like you're in the rut, find out what is near in your heart that you would do for free. And that's your passion, because that's where your message is coming from authentically. People can pick up on the BS meter like that. So if you're authentic in how you're putting the message out, that's what people are going to grow to, because they're like, oh my gosh, she's authentic. And that's why I hear a lot of people like, oh, your interviews, I had a couple people, I love how you do it. And I know I'm not perfect on my interviews. I botch up a lot of stuff, but you know what? It's the process that we're doing, and I'm putting the message out there. So people are getting the messages, and if they gravitate to who I am and I'm bringing it out to, so be it. But you know, it's the fun, it's the journey, it's the joy.
Excellent. If you say you have a YouTube channel and you have some followers, how can you nurture those followers? What are your recommendations?
If you have some followers?
Yes.
I would say, you know, with the YouTube, there's so many ways you can stay connected. I mean, you can have your YouTube channel, but a lot of people use your Facebook. And this is what I'm learning into the new process that I have. I have a business page, and then I have a fan page. There's a business page for all the stuff that I want to put out there, you know, all the straight business stuff. But then there's a fan page that's just fun. Why? Because when they go on to YouTube, some people are there for the entertainment, you know. Some people want the friendly reminders, but you got to remember, this is edutainment. So it's like you're there to educate, but yet entertain them, because some people are just blowing off their steam. Some people are looking for solutions, but you don't know who's coming there. So I use my Facebook as a backup, like a backup source, and I connect with the people, you know, invite them over, tell them you know, I'm following, like, tell them where to go, hit the subscribe button, join me on Facebook, tell them what you want, because that's your moment to tell them what you need and how they can grow with you.
Okay, so you do recommend reminding them to
You gotta
hit the
remind them,
subscribe
hit the
and
subscribe,
to
like
follow
the
you
button.
follow you over on Facebook. Got it, got it. What are some of the don'ts? What are some of the things that people should really kind of stay away from when they're having their YouTube channel?
Well, see, that's all personal preference, because there's some people, like, you know, they want to talk about, you know, certain subjects that are a little more edgy. But if that's what your niche is, then follow your niche. Like I said, it comes down to, what would you do for free? If you want to educate people on relationships and that's your passion, then I'm not going to tell you not to do that. But what I would tell you not to do is not to give up. Not to give up on the messages, on what you're sharing your videos. When you get frustrated, make a video, you know, because that's the biggest thing, is like, you got to remember that somebody may be looking for that video you're sharing. Maybe they're looking for that wisdom that you're offering. You don't know who's going to come. You don't know who's going to blow up over the internet. You don't know. But if you keep going, no matter what, and I always say, here's another don't get caught up in the analytics. I mean, it's good to look at, but I do not get caught up in the analytics. Who follow me, who doesn't follow me, who unfollow, I don't care, because I'm going to keep doing what I do anyway.
That's really good advice, I think, for just about anything that we're doing. I think a lot of the times we do look at the analytics because we're trying to grow and that sort of thing. But if we're going to be looking at it and allowing it to interfere with our happiness, then it's a no. It's a no in my book, for sure. Talk to me a little bit about some of the hacks or plugins or apps or any kind of technology that can make, I mean, mics, headphones, anything that you've used that you've found, you know what, this is amazing. Everybody else has got to know about this.
I think the biggest thing that I have, I mean, again, I don't tell anybody what specifically to use. You're just going to have to try out the different things. But what I will find is, if you're going to do interviews, I had an audio person on my show. She says use headphones. You know, she doesn't care if it's the ones you plug in, the ones you have on. Use some kind of headphones when you're talking in interviews, because it's something about the audio is rich. That's the way to people's heart, and a lot of people, so they don't think about the audio, but audio is straight to from your ear to your heart. And that is if you think about when you're talking, that somebody's talking to you on an interview and you got them in your ear, do you realize how close that sounds? I mean, I never really paid attention to it, but that's a rich sound. So, I mean, if you're going to do an interview and you're going to be one-on-one, have a earbud or something that's in your ear. People can record on their own phones. The quality of their cell phones should not stop anybody from making some kind of video. The high quality of our phones, you can use your cell phones and stuff like that. So you can use that. If you're going to use, I don't have one in front of me, but these little lapel mics that if you're going to go out and about and you use a lapel mic, because that cuts down on the wind and stuff like that when you're out and about. And so you got to, be mindful of where you are, what the wind is like picking up and stuff like that. So I would definitely say use the lapel mic. I'm trying to think of anything else. the thing on Zoom offers, because I usually use, I do interviews a lot. So that's why I say I don't use like cameras and stuff like that, but I use my phone as a backup. But on Zoom, there's 3 ways that you can record your videos, whatever. You can use the audio only, you can use the speaker view, and then they have the gallery view. And if you want to mix it up, those are 3 ways you can tie some of that stuff into your videos to make it more exciting. If you're looking for music, YouTube provides a music gallery. Go into your YouTube studio. You can click music. They offer up royalty-free music you can add to your YouTube video. So if you're looking for that, you can do that. I would say my biggest advice would be whatever niche you're in, research it like it's your next job, because there's somebody in there who's already doing it, and they're going to tell you, especially on YouTube, what equipment they're using and how you can best use it for what you're doing.
What are you using to edit your YouTube videos?
Here's a funny thing. When I started doing my YouTube videos, I told you I didn't have any audio. So I did the YouTube search, what do I need? And then what happens is I connected with another YouTuber, and I was like, and how do you get your YouTube, your editing up? And so she's like, what are you using for your you're recording on your material? And I said, I have an iMac. So she's like, girl, you got iMovie. And I'm thinking, I do? So I already had the software on my computer. So it was built in on my computer. So what I say is connect with other YouTubers out there, because they're going to tell you what they're using. So I use iMovie now for my editing. But if
the truth is, iMovie is on, if you have an iPhone, it's even on your iPhone. If you have an iPad, it comes standard on your iPad.
I was like, I went a whole season of editing nothing because I didn't know I had iMovie.
iMovie is actually great because you could use it to make little like short clips, little promotional things. You could use it to make the clip at the beginning of your video to attach to everything. It's amazing.
You can actually tie your Canva, you download the videos from Canva and your photos from Canva and edit it and then throw it into iMovie and make a nice little short snippet too. Because I mean, there's so much between Canva and iMovie. Those are my 2 biggest.
Yes, Canva and iMovie. Yep.
Yes, those are the biggest softwares that I use the most. I do know, Robin mentioned Adobe Premiere. I do know a couple of people are using that. DaVinci Resolve is another one that people use. If you're going to use, recording audio, you have it on if you have a MacBook, you have GarageBand. You can record audio from your GarageBand. So you can have just primo audio in case as a backup when you're doing your Zoom, because Zoom gets glitchy. You can use GarageBand, or if you have Audacity as a backup for your audio.
Awesome. Those are some really, really good tips. And I know you have a very good book recommendation for our listeners as well.
Yes. Well, I would say I read YouTube Secrets by Sean Cannell. He's the creator of Think Media. And I read his book. And the biggest thing I always think the biggest nugget I took away from him was, remember that Google or YouTube is a search engine. So when you're making your videos, consider what video or what are you answering for that problem. So, don't just go willy-nilly. What problem are you looking to solve, and how will people look to find that answer? That's how you find your search engine. So if, say, you're going to do this, it's like, how do we use YouTube to the best of our ability? That would be one of the SEO searches that I would use for this, because then people are looking to say, how can we share some of these YouTube secrets that we find? So, think about the question that your video is solving.
And then you put that as a tag.
And then you put that as your tab, or you can go in the search, see what other videos are doing, and you find all the tags that they're using to find that search. So you can tag, see what other people are tagging and how they're tagging their videos. And that's another way you can use your search block emphasize your videos. And another thing I want to say, this is another thing, Keeler, you got a whole 5,000 block of space to use for your description box. Use it up. That's where you can tell what the description is, where people can find you, what hashtags. If you're an affiliate marketing and you're selling the book, you can put it in there. People will click on it. And that's when you tell them, go in the description box, because all the gems are there. So you're telling them where to go down below.
Yes, yes, yes. You know, obviously, we're going to have to come back to this topic because YouTube is something that I think is going to be a must for us, especially going into 2021 where we're still in a pandemic, we're still home. People are going to be looking at video more than ever before. And so for growing our businesses, being on YouTube and having a presence is going to be more important. I think we're going to have to invite you back, and we're already over time.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's wonderful because you're providing us with such great information. But I just want to open it up just to make sure. Did anybody have any questions or comments that they wanted to share before we wrap this up? Reshma.
Yeah, I was wondering, for a new person, is it better to first start with podcast and then go to YouTube, or directly to YouTube, like, because YouTube is like live, right? I mean, you can see the person's face, and podcast is only audio.
For me, what I found, I would recommend, if anybody who's new, knowing what I know now, I would go podcast first. And that's because it's easier to edit. And the fact that I'm learning too that people have to stop what they're doing to watch a YouTube video, but people don't have to stop and listen to you when they're taking you on the earbud. So they just pop it in and take you with you. So think about the people you're talking about. They're going to probably be busy. So I would definitely say a podcast would probably be better over a YouTube. But then you can always transfer your information onto a YouTube channel.
So I'm gonna answer that question in a different way, right? But I think we have the same idea. Here's what I'm thinking, Rishma. The content that you are creating, you don't have to use it for just one thing. So, and like anything that we do, it shows up on our YouTube channel. This very same video will also be edited down and used for our podcast channel. It's on our Facebook Live. We send it out it's on our website. We send it out in our email newsletter. Like everything that we do, this one little piece of content gets reused. Probably you can even cut out clips of it and use it for little small audiograms, little posts on social media, Instagram, whatever. You can reuse your content. So I would say just start making your content and don't even be as concerned about where you're going to put it, but just start doing it. That would be my suggestion. What do you think, Tonia?
I like what you're saying too, but like I like what you're saying. I think the thing I was saying, for those who are hung up on, who are hung up on the editing, you can make your content. But like I said, to me, what I found, this is just from one of my experiences, audio is faster and it'll get you growing faster and you'll get more courage faster. You want something that's going to keep your momentum. And then, it build that courage muscle up. That's what I'm saying. That's all. I mean, you can make some great valid points. So I if you're not afraid of the video, then go for it. But if you, like you said, kind of nervous about, I don't know how about editing, go with the podcast, go with the audio, because you can plug it in your ears real quick and now you don't have to worry about the camera. The whole point, and I think both the way that Dr. Davia says it and the way I say it, is put your message out there. Just share your message. You can take all your lives and put them onto YouTube. So, I mean, there's so many ways you can do it. And here's another thing. You can take all your lives and just put on your podcast as well. It extracts your audio. So there's so many ways you can go with that.
Yes, I agree. Just keep making your content. What about you, Marianne and Robin? You guys have any questions, concerns, comments, disparaging remarks?
No, this is really good. I think even in the YouTube studio, you can edit your videos there. I know I used to, because I used to annotize them so that there were, words would flash up or whatever. yeah, these are just great. And again, like Tonia was saying, don't be afraid of the camera. You know, my first ones years ago, I don't know how many times I redid those. You know, I'd get in a couple of seconds in and go, oh, I did that wrong. You know, but I just kept it up. I just kept hitting record until I got one that I could put up that I was happy enough with. And yeah, there was no editing, especially back then.
Yeah, well, as you guys know, we do not edit our videos because I don't have time for that. You guys know I have a full-time job, right? I'm actually a physician. I do treat patients. So I record these and they go up. And if people like them, awesome. And if people do not like them, also awesome. This is my to-do list for today. It's pretty long. And, you know, I'm basically building my parachute as I jump out of the plane, and I am recommending to everybody do exactly the same thing. Robin, any last words?
Yeah, so I'm just curious from the standpoint of, like, I do Facebook Lives because I tend to get I'll get a lot of engagement that way. And I guess repurposing it, if I repurpose it to YouTube and drop it in my newsletter, would you recommend putting the link to the YouTube in the newsletter rather than back to the Facebook Live?
For me?
Yeah, like if I were doing that, or just in general, like your advice on that.
I would definitely, if you want to, I would always say link something to your YouTube, because you never know when it's going to grow, and you never know who's going to hit that you never know who's going to come to your thing, and you never know who's going to pick it up. You never know what video is going to blow you over. That's what I'm saying. So you always think of it as a possibility. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to restructure my mindset around YouTube, because right now I think of annoying children product videos that I hear my nieces watching all the time that I can't stand. So I'm like, okay, there's this whole other side of YouTube that's not those videos.
And see, when I think of YouTube, I think of Abraham Hicks, because there are like 5 million Abraham Hicks videos on YouTube that I don't even, you see, the thing about that is I don't have time to do random things. So I put it on play. I'm in my kitchen, I'm doing stuff. I'm not watching her standing there talking. That's going to be a waste of my life. I just listen to the things that she has to say. So not all the time are people actually watching your video. Sometimes they're just listening to your video, and that's okay too.
That's why I just want to reiterate. Remember, when you're, and this is not about taking anything away from YouTube, but what I'm saying is think about that for your podcast, which Reshma was talking about, because we have the Alexas and we have those Google devices and stuff like that. People are going towards the audio. So even if you put your video up and you just have your smiling face across the video, but you're talking along the way, people are going to find it that way. Yep. So I mean, think about it. I always say, if you want to sit there and talk about how to groom Charlie's hair, and then people are watching that, they're going to want to watch your stuff. That's what I say. I just think about, there's everything on there.
There's everything there. I remember when I changed my hairstyle, and I went on YouTube to see how people who had a similar hairstyle were actually treating their hair to make it healthy. You can find just about anything on YouTube, and people will find you if you are there. It has been such a pleasure having this conversation. Tonia, you have anything going on? Where can people find you? What do you want people to leave with knowing about you today?
Well, I want them to realize that I appreciate what I do. I always say, get some, if you're going to go creative, get some creative YouTube shoes. I got like, when I do my videos, I put my, like, because you're thinking competing against all these teenagers out there, so I got to be hip and fun too. So make it fun when you get on there and do your videos. Who knows what you're wearing, but I got these bright pink shoes. But what I would say is, make yourself, don't be afraid to be seen. That's the only way people are going to find you, and you never know who is looking for you. That's what I'm saying. And so I created my Facebook group. I have Coffee with Tea. That's the name of my podcast. So you can check me out over there. Plus I have my, Coffee with Tea here on Facebook. So I would say follow me, check me out on my YouTube on Confidence Strides. I can't help it. It's just automatic. Check check me out on Coffee with Tea, on Confidence Strides, both on YouTube. Check it out. And like I said, Joe, grow with me. That's all I can say is just grow with me.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us all the way from Ohio. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
All the way from Ohio. Love it, love it. And
With
guys,
my grandbaby.
I know. And for those of you who don't know, I'm in Connecticut. Marianne is in Texas. Robin is also in Texas. Rishma is here in Connecticut. So we're spread out all around the country, but we're all coming together because collaboration is the name of the game. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Ladies Power Launch. And like and subscribe. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you on the next show. Bye-bye.